Things get real on Here's the Deal. Real information, real business experts, real business owners for real inspiration. I'm your host, Chris Flowers, and with nearly 30 years in the business finance, me and my business experts are the best in our fields. We educate and we elevate. There's no guarantees in business. And we're not saying you're going to get the loan or you're going to win the deal, but if you got the grind, Here's the Deal can expand your mind. Let's talk shop. Here's the deal. Here's the Deal is brought to you by Litchfield Auto. They're located at 671 North 137th Avenue in Goodyear, Arizona. And let me tell you, I've known Phil and his team for at least 15 years. I've had some high mileage BMWs, and Litchfield Auto has always kept them on the road. Him and his team are fantastic, and I would refer them to anybody. And just like their slogan says, at least you know there's one fair and honest mechanic. Give them a call, 623 882 8700. Here's the Deal is brought to you by Phoenician Pool, Spa, and Patio. I've known Clark Barnella since he was 15 years old. His dad was a personal friend of mine. May he rest in peace. If you sign up for a weekly pool service, he will prorate a month for free. Weekly service is billed monthly for as low as $115 a month. Some restrictions apply, maybe due to the size of the pool or the area. You can call him on his cell at 602 316 3671 or go to his website, myarizonapoolservice.com. Text in the promo code Here's the Deal, and he'll include a filter clean with weekly service or 30% off any new and repairs or upgrades. Here's the Deal is brought to you by JTA Interiors. Are you looking to reimagine, elevate, and customize your living space or improve your company image, brand, and client experience through a well-planned, well-executed remodel? Let me introduce you to the incredible team of experienced local designers here in Scottsdale area. JTA Interiors has completed hundreds of commercial and residential projects in Arizona over the last 22 years. They offer material and finish selections, full construction drawings and city submittals, 3D imagery, and construction administration services to ensure that the clients have a partner through all phases of the design and build process. Hiring a design professional to help you create a plan, a budget, and a vision for the construction project eliminates unnecessary delays, mistakes, and stress down the road. Don't do it alone. JT Interiors. Build with a plan, plan with a pro. Talk to Jessica Avignon at 480 278 9119. They're located at 7363 East Adobe Drive, suite number 120, Scottsdale, Arizona. Or you can reach them at jtacustominteriors.com. Here's the Deal is brought to you by My Biz Coaches. Eric Whitmore asks, are you ready to transform your business and achieve unprecedented growth? My Biz Coaches specialize in turning small businesses into multi-million-dollar success stories. Their team of experienced executives provides tailored coaching to help scale your operations, boost your sales, and maximize your profits. Schedule a discovery session and experience the power of expert guidance. Visit mybizcoaches.com, that's biz, B-I-Z, and start your journey to a brighter, more profitable future. My Biz Coaches, your path to success. Visit mybizcoaches.com. Hey everybody, what's going on? It's Chris Flowers, host of Here's the Deal, and have on again. I say this probably every week because I have a lot of my good friends on. I got my good friend on, Mike Pineda. He does a lot of things, okay, but definitely very valuable to your business. I first met him. He was a counselor with SBDC, Small Business Development Corporation, where they help business owners with writing business plans to kind of give them some coaching tips, marketing tools, things like that. But now he's an instructor at Australia Community College, teaching business courses where he's had me come in and speak to his students and things like that as well. But he also is a city councilman for the city of Avondale, which he's also currently running for the mayor of city of Avondale. So, and him and his wife have owned businesses and things like that. So, again, just wanted to get Mike on the show because we're all about educating and elevating, and nobody educates better than my good friend Mike Pineda. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Chris, what's going on? This is
Oh,
me
I have a major disclosure for
okay.
all my fans out there. Never let Mike hit your golf clubs. He's going to hit them better than you, and it's going to piss you off. Even though the clubs were made for you, he's going to hit them better than you hit them, and it sucks. Just a full disclosure. putting that out there.
Hey, by the way, we definitely got to get back out there, Chris. I mean, it's been too long.
Yeah, so you can embarrass me a little more. That's cool, man. Yeah, I'm all about that. So,
Oh, you're so funny.
no, so like I said, so I want to bring you on because I think one of the things that really does get overlooked a lot is a business plan. Okay.
Yeah.
And from a lender perspective, the business plan tells us who you are, tells, what you're about, where you're going, what you want to do, tells us your story. But I think a lot of people, like I said, they kind of just do one and then they put it in a drawer somewhere. So like I wanted to get it from you from not only from being a counselor, at SBDC, but like also being an instructor, how important it is. Yeah, I know how much you go into the business plan and your curriculum. So, talk to us a little more about that and tell the business owners that are out there, hey, this is not something, that's not a joke.
Well, what's interesting is that in business, what an individual is doing is nothing more than trying to solve a problem. And often they come about their success, or at least the idea of starting a business, because they're looking to capitalize on some sort of skill set that they have. So they can turn wrenches really well. They understand the chemicals in regards to how a pool should be maintained. And so they embark on the journey of providing service to pools. And so you can plug in any sort of entrepreneur there. But really, what the business plan is the recipe. It's the recipe to success. The way I explain it in my class to my students is because a lot of my students are business owners or business students looking to get business degrees. And I've written two courses here at Estrella Mountain Community College that are dedicated to current business owners or those who are just about to embark on the journey. And what I share with them is that, you can make a cake, you can make a meal, you can make something and create it, and it could be awesome. But can you go back and repeat it?
Mhm.
And if you can't, then there's a problem. So what I share with business owners is, especially those who are very hungry and eager to get and jump in to entrepreneurship, is that you need to track what steps you're taking along the way, or what I would find most beneficial is to create a hypothesis. And that there would be the business plan. The
Mhm.
business plan has several areas in it. And I'm sure at some point we can talk about what goes into the business plan itself. But
That was the next question.
oh, okay,
Exact
perfect.
component. The components are like, yeah, what are the main components of a good business plan? That was literally the next question.
Well, going back to my original comment about entrepreneurs trying to be eager, is they're ready to get started, and that's why entrepreneurs are how they are, right? Sometimes they call it the squirrel moment. Sometimes they call it the, I have too much adrenaline, too much energy, and I need to uh, put it somewhere, and business is where it's going to be. But what happens most often than not is that down the road, if they're not working with somebody directly or don't have some mentorship, they get lost, or something happens and it's a win, but they don't remember how they did it, or
Mhm.
more importantly, they can't explain to somebody else how they did it. And
Mhm.
now an entrepreneur who takes a business, creates it, and maybe decides someday they want to sell it, they're going to sell the recipe too. And if they have
Yeah.
not created that business plan, then, especially where we talk about financials, which, you're well versed in, then how are you going to be able to demonstrate the story that is a successful business to a potential buyer, or to those who are, in terms of succession, are going to take over? So the business plan is important. It's necessary, and it does not have to be scary nor time consuming. And I think in most cases, most individuals who, when we talk about the business plan, envision the book that used to be the standard SBA
Mm.
version of the business plan that is 15,
Yeah.
20, 25 pages. That is no longer
It's
the case.
ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can tell you, like I said, from a lending perspective, you walk in with a big old binder that's, got, chapters and charts and graphs. And especially like I said, if you're, $100 million business, okay, that makes sense.
Sure.
when you're just you got all that, that's a bunch of fluff. I'm gonna look for, okay, what are they hiding in here? I'm gonna cut through all the BS. I'm like, okay, they're hiding something in here. They're missing a whole lot. So, like I said, I wanted you to go into like, the main components as far as like, the executive summary, the marketing plan, and just get down to the numbers, strip it down to, we call it military rolling gear only. Like I said, we just strip it down to rolling gear only. Like, hey, here are the three basic components. Yeah, the executive summary, tell us who you are and what you're about. Your marketing plan just tells what the business is and how you're going to get it out there. And then let's go into some numbers, and like I said, a little disclosure too. Be realistic with your numbers. You can use somebody like an SBDC or a SCORE to get some realistic marketing numbers, because you said, oh, I'm going to start out this coffee company. It's going to be, a private brand name, and we're going to make $3 million our first year. No, you're not. There are things called, like I said, there are industry standards, that are relatively ballpark. A startup, coffee company, especially, privately owned, averages say 750, and you're thinking 3 million. Where'd you get that number? Like, were you smoking the beans, or roasting them? Like,
Going along with, or kind of, dovetailing off what you've just said here. What's interesting, and one of my favorite stories was the story of a police officer who wanted to start a business,
Mhm.
and was really interested in coffee. So he decided that he was going to take some of his savings and invest in a business. And I asked him one question: when does a coffee bean expire? How can you
Mm.
tell? I said, I don't know. I said, you probably should understand that before you get into this industry. So there are some basic um, pieces of information that an individual must know. And in this business plan will be where that individual demonstrates it. And to your point, in regards to hiding things or an unrealistic picture, I can tell you with students that I have in my classes, especially when we get to sections where we work on business plans, specifically the pro forma, where they go from ideation to making $1 million within 12 months. And it's just very unrealistic in most cases. And so for that reason, you have to understand what you're getting into. In this business plan, and what we're talking about here is the document that'll allow you to get there. So you're right. The executive summary, marketing plan, and the financials. If you don't mind, I'm gonna roll back my chair real quick and grab something, and I should have had
Sure.
it before we got started. But I carry this with me, especially when I teach classes. And it's called the one-page business plan. I don't know if you can see that or not. My thing
It's
is
a little
blurred
blurry
out.
there. The one page business plan.
There we
Okay.
go. The one-page
Yep.
business
One
plan.
page business plan. Perfect.
And I
That
have
is
had,
if your business plan is more than one or two pages, from a lending standpoint, like I said, I'm gonna call bullshit.
well,
That's
what's
pretty
so
much
funny is
about
that
it.
I had, it's one thing in regards to theory, right? To go into a classroom with a bunch of business and say, we're going to use the one-page business plan, and this will, whatever. But get theory out of it and actually apply it in the real world. I've had many clients that have needed capital, needed funding, or required it, that have utilized the one-page business plan with their pro forma and secured funding.
Mhm.
It can happen. It does happen. And to your point, again, the lenders does not want to sit there and take a look at every nut and bolt. There are,
Mhm.
you can, as a lender, you can look at a business plan. And as long as it's streamlined and it tells you what you need to know, which is, am I comfortable in regards to credit, extending this credit? And is this individual worthy of this capital? Will they pay it back? If that can be demonstrated through a one-page business plan, and some financials, that's all you need. And I know every lender's different, the requirements are different, and that's what's key about working with mentors, working with experienced individuals, whether it be the SBDC, whether it be Chambers, SCORE, other resources that are available to you out there in the community, is to have somebody look it over, take a peek.
Mhm.
This way, it would be better to have somebody like that tell you no or to fix something than to waste the time of a lender and be told no. That's not a good feeling for either party. So
No, it's not.
it's
No.
it's most beneficial again to utilize resources and network for sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I said That's why when you were with SBDC, I referred so many people to you. I said, because I wanted to make sure we got it done right the first time, because you guys are always on top of what the lenders are looking for. And it's key, like I said, because, this is not something you should be, throwing away in a drawer. You should, get the loan and call it a day. This should be like a living, breathing document, because when you first start out, you have certain, KPIs you want to do your progress indicators, that way you can measure where you're at, measure what you're doing wrong. Okay, if something's not working, it'll show it too. Like, hey, you know what? Hey, we did this marketing plan. We spent a bunch of money on marketing and we got no return on it. So let's scrap that. Let's
Right.
revamp it. And so that's where the business plan come in and say, hey, we spent so much money on this, that. Okay, again, this a business plan should be a living, breathing document where you're looking at. How often would you say to look at? Like maybe once a quarter, a couple times a year? Like,
At least twice a year
mm-hmm,
would be my benchmark.
mm-hmm,
And you stole the words right from me, and that is living and breathing document.
mm-hmm.
It changes just as you change as a business
Right,
owner.
right.
Just look at COVID a couple of years ago. Everybody had their own business model prior to COVID. COVID came, changed
Change the
everybody's
game.
business
Yep.
model, right? So if you don't have a business plan that is consistently updated, then what you're doing may not work for you. And unfortunately, you may not learn that lesson for quite some time down the road
Mm-hmm,
until it's too late. So that is why it's important. I've hosted many classes for the chamber. I've worked in many different groups, and as you mentioned, with the SBDC, many business owners. And when I ask them to show me their business plan, a lot of them are like, I haven't touched my business plan in 15 years or 10
mm-hmm.
years, 5 years. And I always tell them, well, then let's dust it off, bring it out, and let's update it today. Let's start updating it today. And these
Absolutely.
are individuals who are, by all measures, successful,
Correct.
whether it's through the bottom line or whether it's, growth, whatever the case may be, whether it's, equipment, capital, assets, successful, and yet could not detail how they got there. They think
Right.
they know, they pretty sure they know, but it's not in writing somewhere, and you should always revisit it.
But you should also, and again, yeah, you should definitely always revisit it. But I go back to the example of Blockbuster. Okay. And if you don't know what Blockbuster is, if you're too young to know what Blockbuster is, that's my precise point. Okay. Blockbuster was the biggest thing in the world as far as renting movies and things like that. And they're out of business because when streaming came along, they couldn't adjust their business plan fast enough.
Right.
Okay. And they couldn't adjust their business model fast enough. AI is changing the game, guys. So how you do business today ain't how you're going to be, how you're going to do business 6 months from now, literally 6 months from now, not 6 years, 6 months from now. So you better be getting on top of this business plan, be willing to make those adjustments, improvise, adapt, and overcome, because AI is changing the game. Okay. So if you're thinking you're getting into this, going old school, I'm going to, have a napkin, or I'm going to maybe use a QuickBooks app or something like that. The game's changing. So you better change with it, or else you will be Blockbuster. Am I
I'm
wrong?
so glad that you referenced AI. AI, as you mentioned, is a game changer. It can provide data in the speed of a snap that you and I would take, a lengthy amount of time to gather facts, to
Mhm.
gather data, to gather research. AI can do it for you quickly. So, I have students who are utilizing AI. I've actually started to utilize AI in my personal life in regards to
Me too.
campaigning, what you mentioned earlier, utilizing as part of my campaign for the mayor's race. And without it, just being able to get data, getting information quickly. Um, Someone else, it would take them a lot of time, which puts them behind the eight ball. And I don't want to be there. So to your point, I think everybody should embrace it to a certain degree, to a certain extent, but more importantly, leverage it.
And of course, you're, like I said, you're already segueing already into like my next thing here. All right, you're like, this is a smooth transition. Like I said, we're talking about the business components, things like that. Your current new endeavor, as we were just about to get into, like I said, you're already a city councilman. With the city of Avondale, you've been doing that for how many terms now?
This is my last year of my second term, so this is my
Okay,
eighth year.
okay,
Yes.
right on. So I know you've been doing that for a while, but to me, I personally think the city government or the local, state, federal government, it should be run like a business, because, you're in charge of people's money. Okay.
Right.
And it's not, I think a lot of elected officials, they lose that concept of, oh, we have all this money. Let's spend it on this and on that. It's not your money. Okay. You didn't make it. You didn't earn it. Okay. You are entrusted with it to do things with it for the community. Okay. And I think you do that better than most people. You have not lost sight of that, which I can certainly appreciate. But I think a lot of this thing, like people get into office, they think, oh, we have all this money that we can uh, do these little feel good programs. There's got to be a return on investment. There's got to be a bottom line to this. Okay. So even though I don't live in Avondale, I support you running for mayor because I know how you run a business. So let's get into the campaign, and like I said, let's let the listeners what your campaign is all about and how you plan about going out and taking Avondale to that next level.
So I'll answer that first, and then I'll go a little bit into the comment you made in regards to municipality. Oh, I'm sorry, my ringer's on. How a municipality mirrors a business, right? Because it is an organization that has revenues and it has debts, obligations. But okay, so in regards to the campaign, I'm really taking with me where my strengths lie in regards to a platform. But while it's a strength, I'm always looking to get better. So there are some folks that will never work on weaknesses, and that's not this. What this is with an organization like a municipality, I believe our residents deserve and are asking for certain things that encompass the three platforms that I have, which are community, education, and small business.
Mhm.
Community to me is extremely important. What does that mean? That means to me the ability to offer amenities and programming that our residents not only benefit from, but more importantly, can leverage to grow from.
Mhm.
That means whether it's an art class and improving their art skills, a dance class, improving their dance skills,
Mhm.
a language class, some sort of technology course, a sports or athletic related course. This sort of programming allows a resident to not only engage with other people in the community, but it allows them to grow, make them stronger, faster, smarter. Again, get to play better music, learn different choreography. And so by offering as much programming as a response to the community's needs, I believe our community will be better. So what does that look like? Again, that looks like a resident may come and actually I'll use a real example. Believe it or not, I know this is going to sound crazy, but pickleball is a thing right now.
Oh, big time.
Right?
It's a big
Preaching to
time
the
thing
choir
now.
here, I'm sure. So imagine you have parks, but limited pickleball courts because it wasn't maybe all the rage when they were created. Well, now that they are, if one part or a second part of our city has pickleball courts, but we have other parts and they don't, then we need to figure it out through the budget. How do we make that come to fruition? Because our residents should benefit from that again.
Mhm.
So in terms of community, it's making sure the programming and the amenities are there. Education, I mean, as a current educator, as a former middle school teacher, as somebody who has a master's degree and has family that takes education seriously, for me, it's how do we get our residents education earlier? And
Mhm.
education encompasses, to me, it's a multifaceted approach. One is traditional education, books, theory, classroom. But the second one and the third one that may not even exist yet is workforce, learning skills, because not every individual wants to go to college. And quite honestly, college may not be the right fit for them either. And
Mhm.
it's okay because there are plenty of ways to be successful in this world that don't entail getting an actual degree. And that is perfectly fine. So it's important as a municipality that we engage with our partners, outside organizations who can offer those types of educational opportunities.
Mhm.
Traditional classroom, workforce development through some like a Westmec or some other partner. And then when I say something that doesn't exist yet, is some sort of form of a hybrid version. One of the opportunities that I'm exploring right now is high schoolers, and I believe your children have taken advantage of this, are nowadays being provided an opportunity for dual enrollment experiences.
Correct. Yeah,
So
my kids
they are
both
able
in
to
it.
get
Yeah.
college credit while they are in high school. I mean, heck, AAEC, where my kids went, or a couple of them went, and I'm sure theirs are still there,
Yeah,
uh,
mine are
are,
there. Yep.
are getting their college degrees before they get their high school diploma.
Correct.
Can you imagine if an entire municipality had access, or those that weren't aware of the access were made aware, to the extent that every freshman in Avondale had college credit? Because it's
Mhm.
possible. Paulo Freire Union High School District is making it happen. AAEC is making it happen. I believe
Yeah.
there's other charter schools that are making it happen. So there's no excuse for students not to get the taste of college early. My um kind of creative changes, can we do this with seventh and eighth graders?
Mm.
And the best place where I believe that it can start is through entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship, there's no age, there's no sex, there's no color, there is nothing that would prohibit anybody from being an entrepreneur. So
Mhm.
the earlier we can get the municipality, the residents of that municipality educated, the better for them. And I think the way things are shifting out there in our community, that the stars are aligning for that to happen. So that's definitely foremost one of my pieces of the platform. And then finally, small business. The cliche is that small business is the backbone of America, right? That's a cliche, but it's true.
It is
How
true.
many businesses are hiring, the money that circulates into communities through small business, the ability for somebody to utilize capitalism for the risk and reward of putting all their eggs into a basket and looking through fertilization to leverage their experience and their skill sets to recoup the reward, their ROI, as you mentioned. So small business is key. And one of the things that I just had a conversation yesterday with our city manager and others was that it's okay for a municipality to have a large percentage of small businesses. Sure, we want the corporations. One was brought out yesterday. We would love a cheesecake factory in Avondale. We don't have one.
Mhm.
We would
Yeah.
love other corporate chains. That's great. But when I look at small business, especially here in Avondale, I consider that to be a destination point now.
Yeah.
If you want XYZ restaurant, the
The
only
boulevard's
place you
big
can
now.
get
Yeah.
it, right, the only place you can get it is in Avondale. So
Mhm.
it's okay. But while it's cool to embrace and appropriate to embrace the small businesses, one of my pieces of the platform is technical assistance, one-on-one assistance with our business owners
Mhm.
to tap also into mastermind groups, which you've been a part of and you're fully aware of,
Yes.
to utilize each other's strengths to work in harmony with each other, right? Yeah, it's okay to be competitive, but it's also great to look at each other, lean on each other, and leverage each other's strengths to say,
Mhm.
how can we become better business owners in our community? So,
To be community together. Like I said,
correct.
I think that's the thing that a lot of municipal workers don't understand is the partnership between private and public sector.
Exactly.
It should be a partnership. It shouldn't be adversarial. It shouldn't be,
Correct.
and I think that's what I like about you also because you understand both sides of the chessboard.
Right.
Okay. And you can marry those things together. Say, hey, look, guys, we need the small businesses at the same time. Hey, we got to run the city, but there needs to be, but the more private public sector cohesion
Mhm.
um working together, it makes everything run smooth because like I said, because obviously there's a lot of and you know this, like, a lot of things that government like, wait, we can trim the fat. If we run this like a business, if we actually had like a P&L and a balance sheet that we're really looking at from a business owner standpoint, you can't run a business this way. Okay. It just
Right.
doesn't work.
Right.
So
Yeah.
why do government, especially let's not even talk about the United States government, we can forget about that. Like we'll just print more money. Yeah, hello there, inflation. Hello. Yeah, no, you can't tax your way out of it. You can't spend your way out of it. You got to understand that, hey, you know what? Sometimes you just got to say no to some stuff. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
Where I think that's why I said you have the ability to balance both, which is like I said, I can really appreciate.
Well, I'll give you another quick example. Multifamily.
Mm-hmm.
That option, has been a topic of discussion by many residents. You see these apartment buildings coming out of the ground. Um, Fortunately or unfortunately, depending how you look at it, for us in Avondale, they all came out of the ground at one time. So
Mhm.
it looks like we're being taken over by apartments, but in all reality, we are still below 20% of the multifamily option in Avondale.
Mhm.
So with that being said, um, one of the things that is important to keep in mind is that businesses will not come if they conduct a feasibility study and there is not
There's
the
no housing.
economy to support it.
There's no
So
housing.
it's
Yeah.
kind of a chicken and the egg concept that we
Mhm.
talked about. But going back to my example is that infrastructure, the delivery of service cost money. It's not
Mhm.
free.
Correct.
Just like a homeowner might have a subscription to Netflix. And every month they pay their Netflix bill. Sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down. And if it doesn't make sense, then they just get rid of it altogether.
Mhm.
City cannot do that. The city has to provide service. And so in order to do that, we have to pay for it. And how do we pay for it? Through our residents, right?
Mhm.
Whether it's through sales tax, whether it's through the bills that they pay for utilities, one
Property
way or
tax. Yeah.
another, we need to offset what it costs us to offer the service versus what the price that's being paid. The city of Avondale has done a great job over the years of limiting the amount of increases to any of their rates, whether it be utilities or otherwise. I believe it was a 15-year period before water rates were ever increased.
Mhm.
But as you're right, just like a business in terms of return on investment, the city is not in the business of building things. It's not in the business of development. The private sector is the party that does that.
Yes.
So going back to your point, the public-private partnership is key because residents ultimately win. Now, how it gets done, how it's designed, and those sorts of things, the city has a large role to play. But that's why leadership, policy making leadership is important because it takes a body, a policy making body, to identify when the development makes sense and when the expenses are more of an investment. I should say, what I should say is when it's an investment as opposed to an expense. So
Mhm.
it's important to communicate that because without being on council, just being a resident, it's hard to see that. It's hard to understand that. Like, why are they raising the rates and what's going on here? When on the other side of the dais, it's like, well, it's because the rates haven't been lifted in X amount of years, and it costs money, so we have to pay for it. And for that reason, if you look at our organization, just like a business, the functions are included: marketing, right, operations, management, accounting, finance, customer service, parks and rec. All these different functions, just like the functions of a business, are all inherent to it.
Mhm.
So with a background like mine, I feel that is very beneficial because I look at it as such. I don't make decisions based on feelings or emotion. I make my decisions based upon fact and impact to the community, impact to the city, and make sure that that lens is clear. And there's been many times where, because of my skill set and experience, that I've had a pretty significant role to play. I can't go into, I'd love to share an example right now, but I can't go into it
Mhm.
for many reasons. But let's just say that a development I am sure will come sooner than later as the result of policy making and understanding when policy making gets in the way and when policy making can be corrected to allow for continued growth.
Mm. No, I said like that's what I can appreciate. Like I said, because you'll put the politics aside if it makes sense from a number standpoint, or vice versa. It's like, hey, you know what, we're moving. Then if it doesn't make sense, we're not doing it. If it makes sense, the community benefits from it, you'll do it. So,
Right.
being able to balance that out is critical. That's called leadership. And
Mhm.
like I said, that's what, like I said, I appreciate about what you're doing. So tell us about, what you got going on. We got, we're gonna wrap it up here. We got about
Sure.
7 minutes left. So tell us about maybe some events you got coming on, maybe some other things about your campaign. Of course, how they can support you. Because even if you don't live in Avondale, like I said, I support Mike by having him on the show and the other things that I do with him and things like that. So you partner with him because, okay, maybe you don't live in Avondale, okay, but you benefit from having leaders like this, in the community because it just makes the community that much stronger. So go ahead and tell us about what stuff you got going on, how they can, contribute.
Well, it's important what you just said there last because really one of the beautiful things about this West Valley, Buckeye, Goodyear, Avondale, Tolleson, Litchfield Park, is we really do look at things as a regional, I'm sorry, with a regional view. Because our residents win when we build something, our residents win when Goodyear builds something, and our residents win when Buckeye builds something. So in terms of a regional approach, that is something that is respected and that I think isn't often discussed much. So I just wanted to make sure I said that. But yeah, anybody that would like to learn more about me can go to my website. It's Mike Pineda for mayor.com, and for is spelled FOR. So Mike Pineda for mayor.com. They can go on my website. They can learn more about my background, more about my platform. I have my endorsements posted. I've had some awesome individuals step up and endorse me. Mayor Pizzillo of Goodyear, Mayor Rodriguez of Tolleson, Councilmember Wally Campbell from Goodyear, Mark Gonzalez, Avondale Elementary School Board President, Pep Guzman, who is a stellar member of the community, Sam Garcia of the Garcia family. I could go on, Adolfo Gomez, Jason Earp from Tolleson, who's their Director of Economic Development. Just a lot of people in the community who I put in high regard. And I have been very fortunate to have them say, Mike is the next leader that we need. And so, you should vote for him. And I'm blessed to have that assistance. But you're right. How can people watching this support? While they may not live in Avondale, they might have friends that do, or family that do. And the more the information about myself gets out there, the better for me, because I need folks to see my platform, to understand that they have two individuals who are running. And the best way to determine who they should vote for is to learn more about them. And I think what I've done speaks for itself in regards to leadership. I've held many leadership positions. Every time I, get a new employment or a new job, I always somehow end up in leadership. I mean, look, I came here to the college as a residential faculty member teaching business. 2 years into this, I'm now the program director. So I'm managing everything here on campus related to business. On council, I started as a council member. Now I'm currently the vice mayor of Avondale. I got on the school board in 2010. I was elected, sat there as member, became the vice president, and left as president. So I've always ascended into leadership roles. And really what I find that has helped me to do that is never about the end goal. It's about working with who I'm working together as a team with throughout the process, and just leveraging each other's strengths and weaknesses. Really what this is all about is just going back to entrepreneurship, is just emotional intelligence and leveraging skill sets. And when you do that, naturally things occur like leadership opportunities. And for me, that's what it's always been about. And so, I originally was not going to run for mayor. I had actually wanted to go back to school and get my doctorate. And that's a personal goal of mine. But after a conversation
We'll
with
do that
our
later.
mayor,
We'll take care of that later.
our mayor, Mr. Ken Weiss, he said, hey, I believe that you are the next individual to take my place. And I said, that's it. I'm doing it. You're right. I am. And so here I am running, formalize the campaign. I've been out there. I've had several events. The next event we have coming up is a meet and greet in the Alomar community. We've yet to set a date, but it'll be on my website when we do. We're looking to next week. I've had a couple of meet and greets already. It's been great talking to people in the community, learning things, getting some good information, getting some kudos, but also getting some slings and arrows from some of the decisions that we made on council. But you know what? That comes with the
That comes with
territory.
it. Heavy is the
And
head
as
that
a
wears the
leader,
crown, brother.
that's
That's
right.
it.
As a leader, you have to be decisive, and you have to understand you're not going to make
And stand
everybody
by your
happy.
decisions. That's it.
That's
The
it.
same
I'll
thing as a
stand by
business
it.
owner. It's like, hey, we're
That's
gonna make
right.
this move as a business. Either
That's
it's
right.
gonna work or it's not, but this is the move we're making, and it is what it is.
I tell you, you want to get on an interesting ride, just get out there in the community, start talking to folks, and you're going to get the pats on the back and the handshakes and the, I'm so happy you did this, but you're just as fast going to get the, what were you thinking here? What's going on? And you know what? I appreciate it. I appreciate both sides. And
You
I think
have
it
to.
takes somebody like that who has that sort of attitude to say, hey, there's always more we can do. We can always be better. If I went out there and everything was hunky dory and great, I'd be worried.
Yeah,
So
that'd be a problem. Yeah,
it'd be a
exactly.
problem. But I'm doing great. I don't know if you've seen it, Chris, but I got a one of the new things to my campaign that's been added is a billboard along I-10. So
Yeah, man.
just west of 107th Avenue on the north side of the road. Pretty happy about that. It's something that I had talked to about to a few folks. This is something we should do, and absolutely you should do it. If you can do it, do it. So we did, and I'm very excited about that. I've never thought that I would ever get to the point where I could do something like this as part of a campaign. So it's been an awesome ride. It's been a great learning lesson.
Hey,
Ballots are out.
we're just getting started, brother. We're just getting
You know
started.
what?
And we're gonna have to wrap it up, or
Absolutely.
else we're gonna get cut off
Oh,
here.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
like I
yeah.
said,
No
I
problem. No
apologize.
problem.
No, but that's great. Like I said, so hey, vote Mike Pineda. That's my endorsement. Vote Mike Pineda,
Thank
City
you,
of
Chris.
Avondale. Support him any way that you can, even if you don't live in Avondale. You can always contribute to the campaign, because this is the type of leadership that we need here, working for the people. And like I said, with some business sense.
Well, thank you, Chris. I appreciate it.
Hey, it's been great, man.
It's been an honor. I
Let's
appreciate
swing
you.
some sticks and let's go get some lunch, man.
Hey, anytime. Sandwich Masters it is.
All right, brother. I'm out.
Have a good one. We'll see you.
Later, man.
Bye-bye.
Here in closing up the show, and here's the deal. Just want to give all honor, glory, and praise to my Lord Jesus Christ, who, saved my soul and gives me the ability to do this show. Without him, I couldn't do anything. Also want to give thanks to my family. My wife, my kids support me doing this, and backing me up. I couldn't do any of this without them. Also, got to thank the sponsors, of course. Everybody that supports the show, and of course the fans, the people that subscribe to the show. I wouldn't do any of this without you, because it wouldn't be a show. So just want to say thank you all very much. Continue to educate and elevate. Get out there, pursue your passions, pursue your dreams.